Welcome back, everyone, to the third episode of the Tiny Nimble Podcast, which is this monthly mobile gaming podcast-style show with me, NimbleThor, and with Tiny from Tiny Little Games, where this week we will be covering some new mobile game releases. We'll be talking about the Auto Chesspocalypse. We'll run through a bunch of interesting industry numbers. We'll talk about the new Red Magic 3 mobile smartphone, the gaming smartphone, and just a whole bunch more. We've got a very packed episode ahead of us, and I'm really excited to get started. And now this podcast is finally out on Apple Podcasts. It's out on Breaker, on Overcast, on Spotify, and a bunch more. And of course, as always, on YouTube, where you'll get to watch some somewhat related footage while listening to us talk about mobile gaming for the next 40 to 60 minutes or so. Now, if you enjoy this show, be sure to give a subscribe to Tiny Little Games and myself here on our YouTube channels, where we cover a bunch of new mobile games in between these podcast episodes. And if you can, a positive rating on your favorite podcasting app is much, much appreciated as well. Now, as always, to kick off the show and get ourselves warmed up a bit, we're gonna pick just a single game from our past few videos, and we'll recommend that game to you guys. And I'll let you start this week, Tiny. So what have you got for us?
All right, so this is our section that I'm going to call Righteous Recommendations. That's a working title, by the way. So first and foremost, one of the videos I did last week was for a game called Teppen. Now, that's not Tekken, that's Teppen, T-E-P-P-E-N. And what Teppen is it's a card battler, strategic card battler collecting game or whatnot with Capcom characters. So you got your Devil May Cry guy, Dante, that's his name. You got Chun-Li from Street Fighter, all these other different characters. You collect cards from Capcom lore, and then you battle PvP one-on-one with other people. I am not a big fan of the card collecting battle type game, but this game I am hooked. The strategy is awesome. There. Yeah, it's very strategic. If I lose, I know I lost because I made a mistake. If I win, I know I win because I outsmarted my opponent. It has this cool thing called active response. So you throw out certain cards, and they're not attack cards. They're like basically stat cards. You can use them for bonuses, and then your opponent has a chance to counter that card, and then you have a chance to counter. So you can go back and forth if you have enough of these cards, and then you could end up with 6 cards on the table. Wow. And then once the timer runs out, it unleashes all of those bonuses. So I mean, you can go from like being like, oh, I'm ahead, my health is at 30 and his health is at 5, to all of a sudden your health is at 1 and his health is at 10 because he used certain cards. I highly recommend it if you're into card battlers.
And if you're in the US.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, as we found out,
yeah, it hasn't
Nimble
released
doesn't
yet
have
in
access
Europe.
to this game yet.
Yeah, it hasn't released yet. At least in Denmark, it hasn't released. But I'm really looking forward to it, though. You guys, you sound so excited about it.
Oh man, I've been waiting all week just to talk about this game, Nimble. Oh, my tapping fingers are. It's a game I play It's a game I play in the morning. It's a game I play before I go to bed, and it's definitely a game I play on the toilet. So. Teppen, everybody, if you're excited for a card battler.
How long are the PlayStations though? Like each PlayStation?
So a play it goes, I think the timer starts at 4 minutes. Mm. So you can win a match, of course, before 4 minutes, depending on how well or how good you're doing. But if the timer runs out at 4 minutes, whoever has the less health loses, basically. Yeah. But usually I say they last between maybe 2 to 3 minutes. It really depends on your strategy or how fast you can beat your opponent.
Yeah, and I mean, that's perfect for mobile. One of the big complaints with all the auto chess games that we're going to talk about later on is, of course, that the PlayStation length is just too much for a lot of people. Like 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes is a lot for a mobile game. So I'm looking forward to playing Teppen. I'm glad to hear that the PlayStations aren't that long. How's the monetization though? Is it bad pay to win or?
So I was kind of worried about the monetization in these games because you get a booster pack of cards, let's say, and you get all these awesome tacular cards. But I'll tell you, I have not spent one dime on any of the booster packs, and I've unlocked cards because you gain the premium currency through gameplay. And I've gotten some pretty decent cards because really what it comes down to is the cards you choose for your deck and then how you play them. Because I played against a guy the other day who had like souped up cards, and I still beat him just because I knew how to counter those cards. So I would say the monetization is really fair for this type of game.
That's great. I mean, we don't have too many collectible card games on mobile that has a decent monetization. There's a few out there, but most of them are pretty bad. In some of them, if you grind enough, you at least get good enough cards to compete. But there are others that are just really bad, of course. Happy to hear that. So your conclusion, I guess, is that it sounds kind of obvious. Like you definitely recommend everyone listening to go check out that game. Yeah.
My conclusion is download this game. Even if you're on the fence on card battlers, I still say at least give it a try so you can like see what it's like.
See, now you really made me want to play this game right now. Maybe I should.
Let's stop the podcast right now and go.
I gotta download a VPN or something. But the game I could play though this week was Another Eden, which is a JRPG that I believe released all the way back in 2017, actually in Japan. But it just took a long while to get to the global release of this game for some reason. So Another Eden, for those who don't know, I'm liking the game. I'm loving it, by the way. But for those who don't know, it has been created by some of the same developers who worked on the original Chrono Trigger RPG game. So Chrono Trigger is obviously one of the I think most well-regarded or well-received RPGs of its time. A lot of people played it. A lot of people really liked it.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic, right? And Another Eden, I've heard some people say, is sort of a follow-up to that. It doesn't have the same depth as Chrono Trigger did, but it's still an amazing mobile game, and it's free to play, by the way. And I was very worried about the monetization as well, of course, in this game. It's a single-player, turn-based strategy game, a strategy RPG game. But the monetization is actually very fair, considering that the way they chose to monetize is through a gacha-like system. And I call it a gacha-like instead of just straight-up gacha, because in a typical gacha game, you have this system where you need to collect multiple of the same type of hero to level it up or increase its star rating, right? But we don't have that here in Another Eden. It is a gacha system. You get a random hero. You don't know which one you're going to get, but you only need that one hero, though. Like, you don't need to get multiples of it. And that changes the dynamics of it quite a bit, because you can, of course, just play the game and you'll earn premium currency, just like in Teppen, and then you'll be able to get, not all of the heroes, but you'll be able to get plenty of them, and you get a lot of them through just playing the game as well. And that's why I actually really like the monetization in Another Eden. Also, it doesn't have loot boxes, it doesn't have energy systems, it doesn't have daily login rewards that in the beginning seem very nice, but over time just makes the game pretty horrible, because at some point you stop playing the game and you only log in because of those daily login rewards. At least that has been my experience. It doesn't have any of that, which I'm actually really liking. So if anyone out there is looking for a really high quality JRPG, and it really is high quality, then definitely check out Another Eden. Music.
I hear it has a good storyline too.
It has a pretty decent storyline, yes, and I've liked what I've seen of it so far. I haven't completed the game, but I've liked it so far. It starts out kind of crazy. I don't want to spoil any of it whatsoever, but it gets kind of crazy and kind of wacky very, very quickly. But I'm liking it, though. I'm liking the music as well in this game. This is one of those games where I would actually, and I know this sounds crazy, but I kid you not, I would actually let the phone play the game, just have the game open beside my PC when I was working this past week, just because I loved the music so much in this game. It was just, screw Spotify and all those other solutions. I just
yeah. Can I add Spotify? Can I add Another Eden to my Spotify playlist?
Exactly. Well, maybe that's actually an option. I didn't look into that, but apparently there's some somewhat famous composer who did the music for this game. Don't know the name, don't recall the name, but it's pretty great. So yeah, Another Eden absolutely gets a thumbs up from my end. But we've also got a whole sleeve of new releases, some Android gaming and iOS games coming up or already released that I know you wanted to talk about as well, Tiny.
Yep. So right now, next we're gonna go over some new releases on, like you said, the Android and iOS storefronts. First up, we have something called Bombastic Brothers, and it has a Bombastic Brothers Top Squad. I don't know why they always do that with games. They put the little hyphen.
I think it's search engine optimization.
I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So Bombastic Brothers looks to be a side-scrolling, old-school 2D side-scrolling shooter game, kind of like in the vein of maybe like a Contra, from what I can tell by the screenshots. I have not played it yet, but I do plan on playing it. So that's Bombastic Brothers. Next up, we have something called Project Zero Deaths - online multiplayer shooter. Project Zero Deaths, from the screenshots and from what I've read about it, they're saying it's like a real-time Worms. If anybody remembers that multiplayer game Worms, where you basically, you choose what attack you're going to do and yada, yada, yada. It's similar to that. From what it looks like, it kind of looks like that game Mayhem that came out a few years ago, which was also a PvP shooter in the same vein as this. So yeah, that's Project Zero Deaths.
We should play that one at some point.
If we could play that like together, like either
Yeah.
against each other or team up, that would be
It
awesome.
looks pretty cool. Yeah.
And then next up we have, I know one that NimbleThor is super excited to play, and that's and that's Flappy Royale. So yes, everybody, Flappy Bird has a Battle Royale game out called Flappy Royale.
Yeah, let me explain myself here a bit. So I'm excited for this game. Yeah, well, okay. So I am somewhat excited for this game, it's true, but only because I believe this is the end. I think we've seen literally every type of Battle Royale game. Literally, this game is Flappy Birds, but against, I think, 99 other players, and then you just, you fight to get as far as you can in the Flappy Bird style level design. I think we've seen it all, man. I think we've seen every single Battle Royale game out there. So now it's time for...
This is it.
Yeah, it's time for Auto Chess now.
This is the demise of Battle Royale.
It is to some extent. So now it's time for Auto Chess to go through the same cycle, I think. But we can talk a bit more about that later on. But yeah.
Flappy Bird Auto Chess?
Oh.
Anybody?
Yeah. Well. There's a free idea you guys can run with.
Yeah, there you go. You guys can take that.
Yeah.
All right. And then, for the next one, we do have an announcement from Electronic Arts that Plants vs. Zombies 3 is coming out, and you can play the pre-alpha beta something early access. So if I go and type in Plants vs. Zombies on my Google Play Store, I can install it and potentially play the first couple levels to get an idea. So any Plants vs. Zombies fans out there might want to go ahead and try it. Again, it looks like NimbleThor didn't have access to this one either, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's another case of where the States got something before, I guess, other regions did, which is very rare.
Yeah, exactly. Because I recall on the last episode, you were kind of whining a bit about the US not getting access to games early on. But your Canadian brothers did, and I think lots of us here in Europe did as well. But yeah, that is absolutely true. I can't download it yet. I think it's simply not out anywhere other than the US at this point. That would be my guess. Most likely since it's sort of a pre-alpha, only a few levels type of deal. But I'm really excited about this game. I don't like EA. I don't think that's a secret. But I do really love Plants vs. Zombies. I have so many fond memories from playing the first game, the very first one, Plants vs. Zombies 1. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I am, as always, a bit concerned about the monetization, but that's how it is with most mobile games, honestly. I'm always concerned about the monetization.
It's always a concern, yeah.
But I think, and I hope that this one is going to be great. I really do hope that. But yeah. So you've played the first few levels, or haven't you gotten into that yet?
I played the very first level, and it's the same kind of Plants vs. Zombies feel to it. They have added a few different things I've noticed. It seems to be a little bit more fast-paced than other Plants vs. Zombie games. But I am interested to see when the full release comes out, because it's so weird. Plants vs. Zombies 1 and 2 came out, I think, before me and you even started our channel. So absolutely, we've never really actually covered a Plants vs. Zombies game. So I'm actually just excited to cover it on the channel, I guess, to see how it goes. Yeah. But more importantly, next in new release news, which isn't really necessarily a new release, but I've been anticipating Call of Duty Mobile for what seems like ages. Yeah. And it's finally soft launched in Canada and Australia. So Canada is my next door neighbor. So I'm really thinking about just driving up to Canada, getting an internet connection, and downloading this dang game because so I can freaking play it already.
Yeah, because I mean, that's definitely easier than downloading a VPN for sure.
yeah, exactly. A road trip and spending money on that. It's way easier.
But the game is amazing. We talked about this on the last episode as well. I played the alpha version back in December 2018, what seems like ages ago at this point, but it was back in December of 2018. And I loved it, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I think, actually, this is going to be the one mobile game that I'll play so much that my YouTube channel is in danger, and possibly this podcast as well, because I'll just be playing all the time, and I probably won't have time to record any more videos. But it's that good.
Your channel into a Call of Duty channel. You know how they have this Call of Duty. It's just Call of Duty Mobile. That's all it is.
Call of Duty Mobile.
Nimble Call of Duty.
We're laughing now, but I'm sure there's a market for that, because the game is gonna blow up. I know it. Like, the game is gonna blow up. It's gonna be massive, because it's the first Call of Duty game on mobile that's actually decent, and not just decent, but I mean it's amazing. I mean it's basically of the same quality that, you know, as PUBG Mobile and those other Battle Royale games that have really high quality, but it's just Call of Duty instead. So it's very fast paced. It has many of the old maps. Oh man, it's just looking forward to this one. But of
Super
course,
excited.
yeah. but of course,
Now,
I mean, they have to compete though. They have to compete with all the auto chess games out there because we wanted to talk about this Auto Chesspocalypse as we called it here on the podcast, and
Nimble coined that term, by the way.
I think one of the it's probably one of the biggest things that happened since we recorded the last episode. And we're now in the middle of this Auto Chesspocalypse. I know that these auto chess games were already ramping up when we recorded the last episode, but we're now in the midst of the apocalypse. And I think honestly, this is the biggest trend since Battle Royale games. We've got Tencent releasing their Chess Rush game. We've got Dragon Nest and Roto Studios teaming up to release what's just called Auto Chess, which is based off of the original Dota mod. And of course, we've got Valve releasing their very first mobile game, by the way, called Underlords, and it's their take on the genre. And that one surpassed 1.5 million players in the first week on PC and mobile. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of anticipation. I remember my videos on these games getting quite a few views as well. So it seems like there's lots of people out there really interested in this. I would say, brand new genre, at least brand new to mobile. So I don't know if you have you played it yet? Have you played any of these types of games? And what do you think about them?
I have played the auto chess, just regular auto chess, and I did a video on it. And from my experience, it is good. I can understand why the craze is there because it hooks you kind of, you're like, oh, there's more strategy than you think there would be, there's more to it than what you would just think it would be. The one downside is the length of time matches can be. I mean, this is a mobile game and I'm sitting here on my phone for like 30 minutes for one match. And the wife is like, are you still playing that same game? And I'm all, yes, I'm still playing the same game. But I mean, it gets you. It just hooks you, And then I played a little bit of Chess Rush, but I know you probably played more, and I know there's some differences.
I played that more.
What did they change?
Yeah, I really liked that. I really liked Chess Rush much more than I thought it would. And one of the reasons is that it has this rush mode that tackles the thing you just mentioned. Basically, it means that the matches are only going to be, I think, around 10 minutes, 10 to maybe 15 minutes, but just about 10 minutes.
Big difference.
It's a huge difference, right? So for the more casual, I guess the more casual strategy player out there, Chess Rush might just be the obvious choice. Now, I know a lot of you guys, maybe some of you guys are listening here, but a lot of players might be listening to this and they would say, well, I mean, Auto Chess is the original one, right? Like that has been based off of the official Dota mod, or maybe you would say that Valve's Underlords is the official one, right? And you should play that instead. But at the end of the day, consumers, the average consumer is not going to care about that. They just want something that's fitting for mobile. And I think, honestly, Chess Rush comes very close to being the best fit for mobile because of the shorter play sessions. And it should be noted, by the way, that there's also another one called Red Tights.
Oh.
And that one has also this sort of rush mode where you have these 10 to 15 minute play sessions instead. So I think we're already starting to see, even though these games just came out, we're already starting to see the next evolution of these types of auto chess games where the matches get shorter. You've got a co-op mode in Chess Rush as well. So you and I could actually play together and we'd be sharing our units. And that's pretty cool as well. So we're seeing lots of innovation within this genre, and I think we're only just seeing the start of it, honestly, at this point. I think we'll see, very casual auto chess games, like very, very casual auto chess games, maybe down to 2 or 3 minute play sessions. I'm pretty sure we're going to see that over the next half year, just like we saw it with Battle Royale games, right? And we're going to see some from different angles. I'm sure we're gonna see first person. We're going to see a first person auto chess game at some point. I mean, there's just so much innovation still to be done within this genre. I'm loving the genre. As you said, it really does have more strategy than you might think at first. Like, there's more that goes into it.
Yep.
And some people have said that they might be difficult to understand, difficult to get into. But honestly, if you start with something like Chess Rush or, any of the other ones, but if you start with Chess Rush, I think you'll get a great introduction to the genre overall. And I think it's something that everyone can get into if they really want to. Now, of course, no game is for everyone, right? But I think what made Battle Royale games so successful and so interesting, we see the same systems implemented in auto chess, and that's why I think for a lot of people, these games will be amazing. And what I'm thinking about here, of course, is that in Battle Royale games, what made Battle Royale games so different from, the vast amount of normal first-person shooters or third-person shooters out there is that it's just so intense, right? It's this last man standing mentality or gameplay. And we have the same in Chess Rush, right? You have to survive till the very end. You have to be the last man standing in Chess Rush as well. And what that does is that Yeah, sorry. Yeah, as you play the game,
No, you're
it
good.
gets more and more intense, right? And
Yep.
increasingly you sit closer and closer to the edge of your seat as you play this game.
Yeah, because the whole thing is when I'm playing it and I'm looking at the sidebar and I'm seeing my ranking, let's say, and it's moving, it's going up, it's going down, and then all of a sudden you're going up and then you're just like, oh no, I'm getting so close, and then, time goes by and you're just like, oh, you get first place or you get, like, to me, even getting second place or third place is like an achievement for me sometimes. Because it means you lasted all these rounds or you got all through here.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious if what's next. Like you said, is it Call of Duty Auto Chess? Is that going to be what's next? Is it Angry Birds Auto Chess? I could actually see an Angry Birds Auto Chess.
I could
honestly
see that as well, and
I could see that happening.
And I could see, what I could see? I could see a Supercell version as well, like
For sure.
Yeah, sort of a Clash Royale-ish take on that, just like they did with many other genres. I'm
100% sure that's something that will happen. That's actually,
I think it's something they're testing for sure. And then if they see the right numbers, the right type of user engagement, player engagement, I think they might go ahead with that. But I do agree, every single IP out there, every single big franchise could make an auto chess game. You could have characters from so many. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see like a Marvel one as well. Why not, right? Like have Iron Man be one of the characters, right? And he can upgrade in the different what is it they call it? Like marks, right? The different marks of his suit, right? Like the
I see. Yeah, the Iron Man mark suits. Yeah,
exactly. And
that's a great idea.
And the same for Hulk and all the other characters. I mean,
Hulk starts out as just Bruce Banner, and then you upgrade him into Hulk.
Yes. Exactly.
So when are we making this game, basically, Nimble?
So I think starting next week we're gonna start development. We're gonna call up good old Marvel, Disney, and say, hey guys, are you gonna give us your millions to make this game? Or
we have an idea.
Have to go to DC.
Yeah, do we have to go to DC?
Yeah. I think I think a lot of interesting stuff is gonna happen with that genre.
Yeah, Auto Chess, like you said, the Auto Chesspocalypse is upon us, and it's just going to keep going more. And then before you know it, we'll have something new on the horizon or something else that'll take over. But like you said, I think Auto Chess is slowly becoming the new Battle Royale.
It is, and we are already starting to see some hate for it as well. I know some people really don't want to hear any more about them. So I think with this set, maybe we should move on to the next section. But for those who like them, let us know what you think about these auto chess games as well, and which one is your favorite, absolutely. So we've got this next section is sort of a new section, actually. We've got something that we call an industry rundown. We've got some interesting numbers from a variety of, I think, mobile games that most of you guys will know, and we'll just talk a bit about these numbers because some of them are actually really interesting and some of them might really surprise you guys. So first up, we've got Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which reportedly earned $3 million in its first week alone off of 6.5 million players. And let's just that sink in for a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money, $3 million in just a week. And 6.5 million players, that's nearly 1 million new players every single day. And it seems to be really popular in the US. So I guess I'm curious to hear, since 72% of the revenue came from the US, has some of that money come from you? Or have you not even played the game yet?
So I usually don't spend any money in games. So that 3 million has not, they haven't seen a dime of mine. But I have played Harry Potter Wizards Unite. And I will say, I played Pokemon Go and I played Wizards Unite, and I do feel like the Harry Potter one is a little bit more engaging. So I'm wondering if that engagement kind of hooked some more people to spend some money. Also, I'm very curious on how many of these players, these 6.5 million players, are players who got burnt out on what is it, Pokemon Go, want to try a different Go clone, and then they're like, of course you have a huge Harry Potter fan base. I mean, people here go crazy. They're called Potterheads for a reason.
Exactly. Let's not underestimate those guys and those people. I've heard so far though the average spending per player in the game is only $0.50, $0.5, which seems very low since mobile user acquisition can easily cost between $2 to $3 per user. That's the price you typically pay to acquire just a single user through advertisements. So they gotta earn, on average, they have to earn more than $2 to $3 per player. But again, the game has just released though, and I'm guessing maybe they don't monetize it too heavily in the beginning. Pokemon Go did that as well, and then later on you're gonna see slightly, heavier and heavier monetization. But Pokemon Go though earned $58 million during its first week in the US. So this game is $3 million versus $58 million. That's a huge gap.
Huge difference. I mean, maybe that just plays into, I guess we got more Pokemon fans here than we have Potterheads.
I think we have more. Yeah, I think we have more Pokemon fans, and also just the news value of it being an AR game. I mean, Pokemon Go was the first mainstream AR game.
It was the first to do it. Yep.
Yeah,
it was the first. Yep, mainstream, like you said.
Yeah, mainstream. Not the first AR game, but the first one to go mainstream, right? And I think, everyone played Pokemon Go when it released. So maybe it's unfair to compare Harry Potter Wizards Unite to that game. And actually, I read that Pokemon Go has earned a total of $2.65 billion in the past 3 years. 2.65 billion US dollars.
That's a load of cash.
I mean, how can you compete with that? It's more than Candy Crush. It's more than Clash Royale as well, by the way, in the same period.
And it's weird because when I first downloaded Pokemon Go, I think I actually did spend money on that. Now that I think about it, I think I bought like an original little booster pack to get some Pokeballs or something. And so yeah, I guess we're part of that of that huge cash total they have.
I think Pokemon Go is actually the mobile game that I've spent the most money on. To be fair, to be honest, over the past 2 to 3 years. I have spent some on some mobile games. I tend to buy, the remove advertisements in our purchases in indie games if I can afford it, if I really like it, also to support the developer. But typically, I don't spend money, just like you, I don't typically spend money in online games because I know in multiplayer games, it's typically just a bad cycle to get into. You will never stop spending money. But in Pokemon Go, though, I think I have spent quite a bit of cash, honestly. I'd be afraid to go back and look at how much.
The thing I always run into when it comes to like spending money in games, since we're talking about, spending money, loot boxes, monetization, the one thing that usually stops me, yes, there's the whole cycle of it, but then there's the aspect of, well, how long am I going to be playing this game?
That's true.
Is this a game I'm going to be playing for the next 6 months? Because if it's not, then I'm not going to spend any money. But if it is, then, I might be more likely to. So a game has to really hook you, in order to hook me personally, in order to get me to like spend money in it, I guess I'll say. But like you said, I do like to tend to do the remove ads on certain games if I enjoy it, if it's a very well done game, or certain games like we talked about Grim Valor last week.
Oh yeah.
And how that game has like the first stage that's free, which is a lengthy stage.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay, I think it's $5, maybe $6 US dollars to unlock the rest. I'm okay with those type of games too. I would actually spend, that $5 or $6. I actually been meaning to do that. I actually would purchase Grim Valor. I haven't yet, but I am planning on it because of that scenario.
At the same time, though, I think Super Mario Run is a good example of why that model, it might work for a small studio, but for a big studio, it doesn't really make sense. Super Mario Run, I don't have the numbers, but it didn't earn as much as, for example, Fire Emblem Heroes did for Nintendo. And so I think it just comes to show that you can go with that monetization model. That is, as a developer, that's an option you can take. It is a path you can take, but it's not going to earn you as much. That's pretty much a given, like in comparison to more, pay-to-win monetization strategies.
Or loot boxes.
Yeah, loot boxes, or, consumables, that type of thing.
Or as EA calls it, surprise mechanics.
Surprise mechanics, right. Not loot boxes, of course. Dude? Yeah, I heard about that, yeah.
We like to call them surprise mechanics. I'm all, really?
Yeah, they're not
well,
loot
that's
boxes.
A surprise to me.
Yeah, see, that's the surprise. Yeah, that's true. Well, to be fair to Pokemon Go, though, that is actually one of the games that I've played for the longest as well. I played it for, on and off, constantly on and off. Like I wouldn't play it for maybe 2 months, right? Like there could be a few months where I didn't play it, but I have played that game for nearly 3 years at this point, on and off though. So to be fair, I don't think that's money wasted. But no, another but another number we've got for you guys today is regarding Dr. Mario World. So staying within the Nintendo universe, that one has reached 5 million downloads in the first 2 weeks. In the first week, actually. 5 million downloads in the first week, and then 2 million in the first 72 hours already. So that got off to a great start as well. But sadly for Nintendo, though, and this is the really interesting news, I think, it apparently didn't really match Nintendo's other games in terms of revenue. It has only generated $500,000 US dollars in its first week, which I think is honestly, I mean, let's be honest here, it's a lot of money for an individual, but for someone like Nintendo, it's really not that much in the first week.
It doesn't sound like people are taking on to its monetization.
Yeah,
I mean, because when I played it, I was just kind of like, okay, there's no need for me to spend money. There's a stamina meter, so they want you to probably get gems so you can get that stamina meter up. But the game isn't it doesn't drive me to be like, oh, I want to keep playing. It's more of those games where like, well, I can just wait a half hour. I'll put my phone down or something like that. They didn't. It goes back to engagement, like I was saying. If the game isn't engaging you to the point where you're like, oh, I want to buy, go further, and you're just not going to spend money on it. And that's a prime example. 500K is not, like you said, in comparison, is nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. And Dr. Mario World gave me too little to really get hooked. Like 5 lives. Yep. I think it's 5 lives. And that's just not enough to really get me hooked on the game. Pokemon Go, I would play for hours, literally hours. When it first released, me and a couple of friends, we would walk for 30 kilometers. The metric system, I'm using the metric system, but for 30 kilometers in one day.
I'm converting it in my head.
Yeah, in a single day, we'd walk 30 kilometers just to play Pokemon Go. That is how much we played that game. You simply can't do that with Dr. Mario World because of the live energy system. And I think, that is part of why I didn't really get that hooked on the game. It earned less, by the way, than Animal Crossing, less than Super Mario Run, even though Super Mario Run overall was also somewhat disappointing in terms of how much money it earned. And it also, of course, earned less than Fire Emblem Heroes, which I do believe earned nearly the most. I think actually Animal Crossing earned more than Fire Emblem Heroes, but both of those two games earned a lot of money for Nintendo, so I think they're really happy with those two. But I'd be curious to hear, though, what people actually think about Dr. Mario World. I mean, I like the PvP more than I like the single player, to be honest, because the PvP doesn't have any energy system.
Yeah, the PvP mode I felt kind of like old school Dr. Mario, where like you have to be fast, you have to be, you have to really think about where you're doing things. That's where I enjoyed the majority of my time. I actually gave it a lower rating just because the single player portion was just not engaging enough. And oh my gosh, that tutorial took forever. Was it just me, or did it seem like they were they were holding your hand for like 10 stages? And I'm like, I know how to play a match 3 game at this point. It's like, I know what to freaking do. There's obstacles. I have to match them. I have to use specials. I get it. You could have did this in one stage.
After Candy Crush, I don't think anyone does not know what anyone literally in the world does not know what a match 3 game is anymore.
I was just like, why is this tutorial taking so long? I was just, oh my God, I had to stop recording footage because I'm like, I'm not going to record, an hour's worth of tutorial footage.
Took way too long.
That's my rant on the tutorial section.
So, hey, we got a rant this month as well. We always need to get some sort of rant, I think.
Yeah, just a little one. Just a tiny one.
A tiny rant.
Yeah, you see what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there. That's a good one. That's just our humor, I guess. Welcome, everyone. Well, listen, we've got more news for you guys. I mean, we're barely getting started here. We've got more news from Google Stadia. This time, we read that they recently released some numbers on the fact that they've now had 4,000 game developers apply to join Google Stadia. And we don't know the names of all of these game developers just yet, but it is a good sign, I would say. Wouldn't you say, like that there's so much interest from the developers' point of view, at least?
The developers are interested, and they want to get games out to us. It's going to make us interested. Hearing names, like you said, would be awesome. But the fact that we have 4,000, I am sure there's going to be a bunch of developers that people are interested in playing games for.
Absolutely. I would assume there's lots of indies, but I would also assume that many of the bigger game studios, I mean, we read that Ubisoft is very optimistic about the platform. And you were mentioning just before we started this call that they had said something along the lines of the fact that it was actually very easy to port games to Google Stadia. Was that it?
Yeah, they came out in a little blog post, or I think somebody said something that basically, it's really easy for them to port games over, which basically leads me to believe that they're going to port probably a bunch of their library over. So we might be seeing older Ubisoft games come over. Of course, all the new ones are going to be coming over, the Assassin's Creed, the Wildlands, Blackout, and all that stuff. But I feel like they're just going to unleash like a whole, I guess, library of their games.
I think
and people are going to be like, oh, cool. Because Ubisoft does have a decent library.
They do have a decent library. Think about what you want and the monetization, but they do have a pretty decent library of great video games. And I'm looking forward to playing some of those and potentially, certainly in the future, playing some of those on mobile because of Google Stadia. And I think it's important to emphasize once again that Google Stadia is not the Netflix of games, and that is the reason that we're seeing so many game developers joining the platform, because if it was the Netflix of video games, there would simply not be enough money in it. Like you would never release your newest game on the platform if you knew you were just gonna get, say, 50 cents or maybe even less per play
per play or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that model, I just don't believe in it. Instead, of course, what we have with Stadia, for those who don't know yet, is this system where you pay for the individual games and you can use Stadia for absolutely zero US dollars. That's the cost of it, and you can play in 1080p. And then if you want 4K, you're gonna pay, I think, is it 10 US dollars or is it slightly below 10 US dollars per, something along the lines of that?
I forget. We talked about it last week. It might be 10,
but point is,
it might be 11.
But it's around that point, and then you'll be able to stream in 4K. And you'll get I think you'll get one new game for free every month. But the point is, you'll still have to buy each game individually, and that's why I like the system. that's why I like Stadia. That's why I believe in Stadia, because I don't believe in the Netflix of video games, because the economics just don't work out for that type of model.
If anybody is confused about how NimbleThor feels about Stadia, he is super excited for Stadia. He gave it an 11 out of 10 last month. So just so you know, he's reiterating Stadia.
Sorry.
He works for Google, by the way.
Listen, we'll move on. I don't work for Google.
No. I'm just teasing.
I wish though. That would be kind of cool. But and then
I do too.
I guess I would have access to Stadia at this point. So Google, hey, call me up.
You'd be a pre-alpha beta.
Yes. Oh, I love that. But okay, moving on then. But on the topic of Ubisoft though, staying there for just a bit, I read that they've had a 24% decline in mobile gaming revenue in the first 3 months of this year in comparison to the first 3 months of last year. And what they're blaming for this is a lack of new releases. Basically, I guess they've had too few mobile gaming releases. They just had the Mighty Quest for Epic Loot though, which I know that you played, Tiny.
Yeah, you got the title wrong though. It's the Mighty Quest for Epic Poop.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Okay, there you go.
The Mighty Quest for Epic Poop.
Yeah, you got that wrong.
You gotta expand on that. Okay. You gotta expand. Yeah.
So I know we got to. Well, because so Ubisoft's mobile offerings has not been much, and they're right. They haven't released a lot. Before Mighty Quest, I think we had Phone Destroyer, that South Park card type game that came out. So that's a long stretch of time, because I think that came out last year sometime.
Yeah,
that's a long stretch of time before we get to the Mighty Quest, and then the Mighty Quest comes out. And then they're probably thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to release this game. People have been anticipating it, this and that. We're going to monetize it, this and that. Well, the problem is with that game is the monetization is super in your face. I'm talking like blatantly like pop-ups every time you exit a stage type thing. And the gameplay itself, while it is sort of, I guess, has an addictive nature, like there was times where I'm like, oh, I need that next piece of loot, It just wasn't enough to, I guess, keep me just playing. I mean, I did a comparison to it kind of to what was that? What's that idle tapper? Oh, Nonstop Night. I did a comparison to that. And while it's not exactly like Nonstop Night, because it's not an idle tapper, it still has that, got to get the loot, got to kill the enemies type feel. But it's the same feeling I've had if I could pick up any other mobile game. I can open up the App Store right now, download a game that's a loot-based game, and it would feel the same. And I think you spoke about this earlier in the pre-show, that I think Ubisoft needs to do some differentiating itself when it comes to its mobile games. Try something a little bit different. Don't look at the mobile market and be like, oh, this game works or this type of genre works, and then just do it. They should maybe, I don't know, divert a little bit on what, so they can differentiate themselves, because Mighty Quest is not going to help with their, 24% decline. I tell you that right now.
Most likely not. The good news, I guess, looking on the bright side of things, is that they are actually taking mobile seriously. They said that they made some pretty lofty promises. They said that they wanted to reach, or at least goals, not promises, but goals, I guess. They wanted to reach 5 billion players by 2020. Or was it
interesting?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty crazy. Or was it? I think it was 2020 already, which is just next year. Sounds kind of weird, but 5 billion players is a lot of players, so they got to release lots of mobile games if they want to make that happen. Or maybe they're counting on Google Stadia. I don't know. They announced this in a shareholders update to all the many shareholders who are hoping that they'll earn lots of money, of course, on mobile titles. So hey, as I said, the bright side here is I guess that we're gonna see more mobile games from Ubisoft, and hopefully some of them at least are gonna be somewhat decent. Yeah. What can you do?
Yeah,
We
because
can only hope.
they said, well, like you said, they said they want to bring more PC and console titles to mobile. That was what they said in their meeting, and that can mean a whole host of things. That can mean actual porting over some of their PC console games. That could mean PC console games coming from Stadia, or that could just mean like mobile versions of their PC console titles.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Nintendo is doing with Dr. Mario, how they did with Fire Emblem, stuff like that, and if that's the case that they want to do it like that, they really need to find a way to get these players engaged and just get them staying there. Because if you want to hang on to 5 billion players by 2020, which I mean, 2020 is 6 months away. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty lofty promise, or not even promise, like you said, goal.
It honestly makes me feel like that the article I read this off of might be wrong. I mean, it can't already be in 2020. I mean, that's so unlikely.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, maybe they had their shareholder meeting earlier in the year. That could be.
Well, yeah, that as well.
It really depends.
In any case, the last number we have, I guess this last number really puts everything into perspective and shows why both Nintendo and Ubisoft and everyone is so excited about mobile gaming. That is, of course, that there's been I think an 11.2 billion games downloaded in the past 3 months alone, 11.2, and the amount of money spent on mobile games increased by 11.3%. I was nearly getting those two numbers mixed up. 11.3% increase in the amount of money spent on mobile games, and 11.2 billion games downloaded in just the last 3 months. So who wouldn't get, who wouldn't want to get a piece of that pie?
Get excited for that or want to get in there. My question is, who's spending all this money?
I don't know.
It's not me and you,
I
Nimble.
don't know. Who is spending
Somebody is spending this money. Yeah. Who are these whales?
Listen, we're asking the important questions here on this podcast. Who is spending this money? I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, someone has got to spend a lot of money. $30 billion has been spent on mobile games in the first half of 2019 already. $30 billion US dollars. Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. We're in the wrong. We're not doing things right. No, I don't think that the creating a YouTube channel for mobile gaming is the right idea.
Right. We should get into. Yeah, we should.
We need to get into this. We need to be a shareholder.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. That's what we should do, honestly, because I think maybe making mobile games is difficult as well. Just look at the insane amount of indie small studios out there trying to make it,
and the competition. And the competition. Yes, it is definitely a tough process for sure.
I heard you got excited though about a new gaming smartphone coming up.
Oh, yes, definitely. So moving on from our industry deep dive, basically there is an announcement of a new gaming smartphone. Now, the new thing is, everyone wants to release a smartphone or a gaming smartphone. We had the Razer phone, we had the ROG phone, we had a few other ones in between. But this one is called the Red Magic 3. And I have never heard of this company. I've never heard of Red Magic 1 or 2, so maybe they're just right out the gate starting with 3. But there is some interesting things I want to talk about with this gaming smartphone that's being released. Mainly, I'm basically just going to read off some of the the buzzwords that they have with the phone, what comes with it. But it's the price. It's the price at the end that's really interesting to me. So the phone's going to have 12 gigs of RAM, which is pretty awesome because my Razer phone only has 8. It comes with active liquid cooling, whatever the heck that means. So apparently it's going to cool your phone pretty awesomely. I don't think there's water in it, but anyway, a 5,000 milliamp battery. So they're trying to keep you gaming all day long. 90 hertz display, a Snapdragon 855, which is basically the common processor to use at this point. There's a game mode for the gamers, where I guess basically it takes all the resources from your phone, puts it into that game. So that's all that resources are being used for. But here's the kicker here. The phone is $599 US. So that's for the 12 gig version. There's an 8 gig version for I think $450-ish. But a $600 price point is actually pretty good for these specs. And I know earlier you were talking about you're trying to compare it to your OnePlus 7, I think. So how does it come out in comparisons? Because a lot of these look really good. And I think the OnePlus 7 has most of these.
It's so close. I mean, the OnePlus 7 Pro that I got the larger version of the OnePlus 7 Pro. So that comes with 12 gigabyte of RAM as well. It has 256 gigabyte of space. It also has some sort of liquid cooling type of thing. It has, I think, a slightly smaller battery, if I remember correctly. I think it's closer to 4,000 instead of 5,000 milliampere. But it also has a 90 hertz display. It also has the Snapdragon 855. Yes, it also has a software gaming mode for
I was just going to ask that
gamers,
too. I'm
right?
like, does it have game mode for the gamers?
It has game mode for all of us hardcore gamers. It does indeed, and I mean, it comes in at, I do believe, just about the same price, doesn't it? I think the pricing is, I'm not too updated on that, honestly, but I think the pricing is almost identical as well. So I would say these two smartphones sound to me like they're identical, nearly identical, as close as you can get, at least in terms of the specs.
Yeah, so my excitement for the phone was for the price, right? So now I'm actually want to look up the OnePlus 7 to see, because if it's the same, I guess the OnePlus 7, it's the brand, right? It's the fact that I know that phone, I've heard of OnePlus, I've heard of them. OnePlus 7 right now is going for $679. So just for about $70 more you can get a OnePlus, which probably has a better camera, because I've heard this phone, the Magic 3, it does not focus on having like a super awesome camera. I guess they figure gamers don't like taking pictures, but sometimes as a gamer, I want to take a selfie, whatever. But I just think it's interesting that we have yet another gaming smartphone on the market, another phone to compete with these other ones. Just another one. And I guess it's going to come a point in time to where it's like, when are we going to see other companies maybe jump in? Because I know Samsung, all of their specs are pretty much on par. They don't focus on the hertz in their displays. I know that much. They don't focus on a game mode, although they might have a game mode now. So I'm just curious of when will we see these big companies maybe come over and try to say, okay, gaming smartphone, for gamers or whatnot, or are we just going to keep seeing maybe these off-brand companies focusing on it?
I think we're going to see more and more off-brand companies, or at least they'll continue trying, I think. And I think it's going to continue to be very, very difficult for them, especially since the OnePlus is very, very close to in price, and it has pretty much the same features. Samsung is more expensive. I guess they want to price their smartphones closer to Apple's iPhones, of course. And both the iPhone and the Samsung devices are amazing gaming smartphones. So I think it's going to be very difficult for these off-brand companies or these unknown companies to compete with that, right? Honestly, I think they're probably going to sell.
Them to keep doing it.
I want them to keep doing it. I want to see innovation all the time, of course. It's great to see new types of things tried out. I just would never invest. If I had the money, I would never invest in these companies because I don't believe in it. I think we'll see Samsung and Apple and OnePlus and those few other ones. I think we'll see those prevail over time and
still being the top dog.
I think they'll be the top dogs.
The problem too was when Razer Phone decided not to do like a Razer Phone 3, let's say. I mean, the truth is right there. They looked at it and they looked at their sales and they probably figured, you know what? It's not worth it to keep, doing it. I mean, I commended them when they came out with the Razer Phone 1. I purchased it, and it's a great phone. But yes, it doesn't seem like these gaming centric smartphones are having the following that I think that, they're anticipating. I mean, there's a lot of gamers out there, but like you said, if you can buy the latest Samsung, if you could buy the latest Pixel, if you could buy a OnePlus and get basically the same specs, and you're going to be playing games the exact same, it's like, why go to these unknown companies, because when you start going to unknown companies, then you got to worry about software updates. So my Razer phone, my Razer phone has not been updated in a year. I think I'm running on probably whatever a year ago's Android was. I don't even have the latest version, and that's sad if you think about it, So I think it runs into those aspects too. And I just think it's weird how these companies can have these good specs and charge, I guess, so much less than the other companies.
I think they have to. Honestly, I think they have to. I think that's the only way to compete. And most likely they're not earning a lot. I'm guessing, right? Most likely they're not. And it also just comes to show how much Apple and Samsung is actually earning off of their smartphones, I guess. And also I heard that they're just saving where they can save. Such as, for example, I heard this thing about the OnePlus 7 Pro. It doesn't have the official waterproof stamp, right? There's this official one you can get, but it would add somewhere, I heard, I guess these are just rumors, right? But I heard that it would add maybe around $10 per smartphone if they had to, per smartphone they manufacture. And so this is those types of things are things that they save on instead. So they still made it waterproof. They just didn't go through the process of getting the official, seal of approval
certification. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, talking about all of these Android gaming smartphones, I do understand why some people prefer just to stick with their iPhones. It's much more simple, right? You just buy the next new one when you want to upgrade. I mean, I get it. I actually do get it, right?
So let's move on then, since we have some more interesting information
we do actually
we wanted to talk about. Yeah,
this is
that there's a fan base that's going to be excited soon.
Yes, indeed. You want to go for it?
Sure.
Give us the teardown. So what's going to happen soon?
So what we want to do is we just want to let you know about some upcoming games in the Pokemon universe. Yes. Basically, they're going to be releasing something called Pokemon Masters. It's supposed to be coming out this summer, and what it looks like it's going to be is a 3 versus 3 real-time strategy battle game. So it's you, and then you team up with either 2 friends or 2 randos, and then you fight 3 other random people with your Pokemon that you've earned. From the footage that I've seen, it kind of looks like you basically, you see your 3 Pokemon, you see theirs on the other side, and you send out attacks, you can defend, all that good stuff. Very strategy oriented. I kind of compared it to like a Clash Royale, but not necessarily in the same vein, but kind of in like a, use your attacks while they're using their attacks type of scenario, because they want to keep it kind of fast paced. The one thing that interests me about it is it looks like it is kind of basing itself off of the old school Pokemon gameplay from like the Game Boy days, where like, yes, that was, yeah, exactly. Yes, that was turn-based, and it was a little bit different, but it does look like they want you to be battling against, people and their Pokemons. Something that I feel Pokemon Go was missing. Yes, I know you can go into the tournaments and you can fight them, but it was more of a just swiping and tapping your finger type of thing. So
yeah,
I'm cautiously optimistic about this Pokemon game coming up.
Yeah, same here. I mean, after Pokemon Rumble Rush, I don't think we can get any lower. Like,
see, I didn't play Pokemon Rumble Rush. So what was that one like? What was it? What was the gameplay like in that one?
So auto all over the place, and lots of loot boxes and wait times, and it was not.
I'm throwing
enjoyable.
up in my mouth right now.
Yeah, it wasn't enjoyable for me, and I mean, the monetization in Dr. Mario World, if that's a pointer for where Nintendo is going, this is not looking too good. But I am also, somewhat optimistic about about this new Pokemon game. I'm always optimistic, right? But I am actually looking forward to Pokemon Masters. I think it's going to be much more interesting in terms of the combat, as you already said, in comparison to, for example, Rumble Rush. So yeah, I'm optimistic. Looking forward to it. Regardless of what happens, though, I mean, there's just no stopping Pokemon. I mean, have you noticed?
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, sorry,
I was going to say, you could just keep making Pokemon games, like you said.
And
just keep them coming.
Yeah, and the new Detective Pikachu movie, which I guess is the first, like, non-animated adaptation from the Pokemon universe. I think I'm correct about that. Am I not?
Sounds right.
In any case,
sounds right.
It did really well, and it actually became the highest grossing movie adaptation of a video game, earning just slightly more than the Warcraft movie did, the World of Warcraft movie, at $436 million US. And
you mean it did better than the Assassin's Creed movie?
Yeah.
No way.
It's so crazy, man. No,
it did good.
I haven't actually seen it, though. I haven't watched it. Have you seen it?
I have not seen the Pokemon I almost said the Pokemon Go movie. That would make a good movie.
Yeah, I guess that's coming up as well. Who knows?
Yeah, I haven't seen Detective Pikachu yet. I've been meaning to watch it, but it's not in theaters no more, obviously. But when it comes out, probably on like Blu-ray, I'll probably get it because it looks good. It looks interesting. It looks funny. It looks like the action is good. So I'll definitely want to take a look at it.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, it's interesting, like you said, that like, video game adaptations to movies don't do well. They really don't.
Yeah, they just don't.
Yeah, and I've watched a bunch of them, and they're just never that great. So it's really good, I guess, refreshing to see that one can do well. Mm-hmm. And again, it ties into that there is a history or there's a lore of Pokemon. Pokemon dates back before gaming. We have the trading card game, we have the cartoon, we have all of that stuff. So you bring all that together. I guess I'm not surprised it did so well.
I guess actually the one additional example that comes to my mind is the Angry Birds movie, which I heard did really well financially as well.
Right.
Again, it's one of those that I haven't seen. I haven't watched it, but I heard that it's somewhat decent. Like if you're into that franchise, and I guess maybe for a bit of a younger audience, but I heard that it's actually not bad, and it financially did really well. And I know they're making a follow-up now as well.
A second one, yeah. I actually saw the Angry Birds movie, and it was pretty decent. I liked it, but I'm looking forward to the Clash of Clans movie. Did you hear about that one?
No. That would be so cool.
Yeah, summer of 2020. Yeah, the big Clash Royale movie is coming out.
I could see, though. I mean, a Battle Royale movie, right? A Fortnite movie. I could see that. I mean, that's pretty much. What's that film called? With a bird, something with bird in the title. Katniss Everdeen, something like that.
Oh man, it's on tip of my tongue now. Goodness gracious, Mockingbird or Jay or
what's it called?
I like how we're butchering the name right now.
Something with a bird, something with someone called Katniss.
Yeah, okay, Katniss movie.
Yeah, the Katniss movie. Have you seen it? No, but listen, I mean that's basically Battle Royale, I guess. Last man standing, right? But a Fortnite movie, I could see that coming out at some point. They want to keep making money. I mean.
Well, it's funny that you bring up a movie with Battle Royale because there actually is a movie called Battle Royale. It's a Japanese movie that came out, I think, in 2000. And the whole premise of that movie was these school kids are taken to an island and they basically, something goes wrong or something. I forget the details, but they basically have to fend for themselves on this island and battle it out until they're the last one standing. So rumor has it, a lot of these Battle Royale games got their premise from that old Japanese movie. So it's really interesting to hear that. So
I didn't know that.
Did you ever know that? Yeah, well, it's a little, what is it, trivia?
Yeah, it's a little trivia. I think I read someone mentioning it at some point in a comment, but I never really figured out what it actually meant, like what you basically explained now, that it was actually a Japanese movie.
Called Battle Royale. But I could see, like you said, going back to Fortnite, I can see an animated like movie of Fortnite doing that, especially because you already have the animated like aspect to it. So I can definitely see a
I know what's going to happen. We're going to get Fortnite, the Netflix original.
Of course we're going to get Fortnite, the Netflix original.
Here's a little prediction for you guys at the end of the show. I think we're going to see something like that. I think, Netflix is just throwing money at everything these days.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're doing The Witcher. I saw the trailer for The Witcher, the new Witcher series. And I got to admit, it looks pretty decent.
They're doing The Witcher. I heard that they've bought the rights to the Narnia, like the Narnia franchise.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so they're going to do both, feature-length movies and a series based on Narnia.
Oh, wow.
I'm a bit of a Narnia fan.
There was a rumor that they apparently are going to be doing a Resident Evil as well.
Oh, Resident Evil. Nice.
Yeah, there was a little rumor about Resident Evil. And then they also do Castlevania. I don't know if you've ever seen Castlevania. Sorry, I'm going on a Netflix rant. As you can tell, I'm a subscriber of Netflix.
Same here. I haven't seen it, though. I haven't seen it. I should.
Yeah, Castlevania is good. Yeah, I think you should check out Castlevania. Okay. It's an animation based on, of course, the Castlevania video game. Very well done.
Yeah. So listen, guys. Everyone should continue in our Netflix podcast, which you can find at... No, maybe we should start a movie podcast. Wait, no.
I could do that.
Yeah, let's get this off the ground first, though. But listen, I think with that said, that is all for now. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. So go give us a follow on YouTube if you want to see more, or leave a comment and let us know what you think about this episode. What do you think about what we talked about? What are your opinions? We love hearing those, and we love to engage with you guys. Also, do let me know what we should talk about in the next episode, by the way. Is there any topic that you'd like to see us talk about? Any specific game? Something happening in the industry? We're pretty much open for anything. We're happy to take suggestions. And while you're at it, consider leaving a like, review, or whatever you can do in your go-to podcasting app. It really does help a bunch, so that is very much appreciated. And I guess we'll see you guys again back in August. We actually did this episode pretty much exactly a month after the last episode, so we're on a good track here. So we're aiming for another episode. We're doing it. It's finally happening. It's finally becoming a monthly podcast. So we'll see you guys back in August, where hopefully Call of Duty Mobile will have released globally. So with that said, thank you for listening, watching, and we'll see you guys. Goodbye.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.